Seems like a foreboding bridge to cross here. There's Western Empire forces on both sides. There's boats coming down the river here. There's a bridge with a storm on the other side. This is kind of perfect. Let's start an episode. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment's YouTube channel, covering all things Bannerlord, covering WARSAILS. We are playing our pirate playthrough of the DLC. We've got Charisma. Right, this guy looks amazing. He's got some animal hides on. We've upgraded some armor. We've been attaining a good amount of money. We've had some very good siege results, anti-Aserai siege results. We've got a very much a pirate-looking army, I think. They've got all kinds of cool equipment. We've got all kinds of one-eyed characters in our army. These guys, I can't wait to get these guys on the water. 160 bow skill, right? And they have a noble bow. So who knows what they're going to do on the water? That's going to be fascinating. They're not fiend champs, but boy, they're going to rip it up. And we're making money, right? We're doing pretty well here. We're at 46,000. I suspect we need 50 or 60,000 to really afford, the starts of a pirate fleet. So we're looking for a little bit more action. I would love another castle siege or another big battle we could snipe from the side. But there's plenty of action, including weather, right? And I just saw a Northern Empire force head this direction. I can smell them, right? Our pirate nose is working. I can smell the gold, right? There they are. Vandalia, come get some. Vandalia, something like that. Some terrible name. Now we're being slowed down a little bit by the prisoners. Again, we continue this playthrough exploring the pirate side of Bannerlord, right? The pirate side of WARSAILS. Help me. Jeez, it doesn't help me at all. All right.
Close enough.
Well, we were going to get a lot closer than that, man. You're going to be dragged behind our horses. Got a nice little Western Empire force to slaughter here. Our force is elite. That's all there is to it. We've been upgrading. This campaign's I'll estimate 2.5 hours old, and we have just been rolling right along. We almost got captured once, but we got rescued a little bit. Other than that, man, it's just been a smashing. We're using the best units in the game. That's all there is to it, right? We have skirmishers, we have archers, we have Vanguard Ferris. We even have 5 legionary just for kicks, shits, and grins. I guess we don't have cons guards. We don't have. I guess these are the best non-tier 6 units in the game, right? We've got a bunch of sergeant crossbow. The Vanguard Ferris is tier 6, of course, but we have a lot of just regular, plain old good units that work together. In fact, we have a lot of shielded archers and skirmishers. So that's, to me, it's great versatility, and it's underrated throughout the Bannerlord community. A lot of guys like heavy cataphract, and they like cons guards. 100 cons guards, they say, and I say, nah, give me a bunch of sergeant crossbow, a bunch of Aserai veteran infantry. Give me some of these new Aserai seaboard archers, and we will lay waste to everything. Now, this is not good. Our enemy has a lot of archers. They're uphill, and it looks like they're going to entrench somewhere on that ridge or maybe in the trees there. That's good AI. It's frustrating for me, though, especially because the RTS mod we are playing pre-release here, thank you, Tailworlds, is not out yet, right? The RTS mod. I hope the maker of the RTS mod is Johnny on the spot. I imagine he will be, because I can tell you that with the release of the betas, within a day or two, this guy's been on the spot here and fire them javelins into this Western Empire force. Just a little drive-by here. Ah, shit, a couple of them got caught up. They'll probably pay the price, but a little bit of terror here for this Western Empire force before we bring up our archer ranks. That was half scouting, half throttle them with a few javelins here. Now, we've got a nice high ground over here. We'll be able to set up some units. We're using 2 cav divisions. That probably drives a lot of guys crazy. The reason I do that, right, and again, this continues to be half tutorial, half exploratory run for me. We can wipe out some of their cavalry here with some javelin practice. Have another one, you bitch. The reason we're exploring too is, I've heard some people say, including some people from Tailworlds, that the pirate way is going to be a lot of fun, right? And I don't entirely know what that means, right? Does that mean just full-on anarchy, where you just seize and sack every single target of opportunity? Or does that mean playing as a mercenary, you know, where you just help a kingdom and all you do is attack their boats and do a war of commerce? Because that was very common, right? They called them privateers, and privateer basically was a bunch of civilians that were out to make a bunch of money, right? They weren't technically even in the military, although sometimes they were commissioned. A lot of times they were just mercenaries. Now we got our cavalry here just dumping javelins downhill into these lightly armored archers holding up their shields. Skirmishers annihilate archers. That is the one nice little rock, paper, scissors. They hold up their shield. That's why you want to have both, right? Skirmishers and archers are the best units in Bannerlord. That's all there is to it. Horse archers are really good. I've had some guys complain about the AI with horse archers with the 1.3 patch. Well, it remains to be seen how they're gonna function broadly. I've seen them do some strange stuff in custom battles, and I've also seen them do some pretty smart stuff. So it remains to be seen on the horse archer side, and I imagine if it's not working well, Tail Worlds will fix it, right? They've shown a considerable ability to make adjustments on the fly. Unlike this Western Empire force, no wonder they ran. They just melted in the trees. Those trees are going to grow well next year, and we had one death and just continue to smash everything in sight. And what's amazing is we don't have any medicine skill. This is not a high-level character. It's just a good mix of units and a good mix of tactics, and the enemy is just withering away. More upgrades, which is insane. I thought the army was virtually capped already. Of course, we keep suffering occasional losses, right? We're losing 3 here, 2 in that battle, and then we replace them almost immediately with prisoners, or we've got towns and whatnot. I just had to restart. I can't tell if it's recording. We'll just keep rolling. My recording device has been a little bit on the fritz lately. In any case, we've had prisoners that we've taken. It's just been a highly lucrative campaign. 45,000, and I bet we have 100,000 in loot. All we need now, is Annika Castle to be besieged right before our eyes here. I think we can get around this edge here. We got to go through the storm to get there. But the landscape is hugely changed with the DLC. Wait till you guys play it. If you guys, if you're watching this before it's released, that's doubtful because I'm filming this a night before the release. But 909, we can handle this shit. This is just a jackpot. Our ship just came in, pun intended. We're going to get, basically, this siege defense is going to earn us a fleet. We're going to make 100,000 gold in this siege. But the landscape is wildly changed in the DLC. It's virtually a new map, right? And the castles are sort of loosely where they were before. The cities, they're vaguely where they were before. But the mountains and the locations of the cities in relation to the ocean, relation to lakes and rivers is dramatically changed. It's a little bit jarring, but of course, just like any new map, once we get used to it, it'll just be normal. And I think it's great, right? It kind of feels like Bannerlord 2.5, right? With all of the additions, obviously the sea warfare. It's going to be delicious just re-exploring it all and finding out and being like, oh shit, that's a nice little defensive valley there. Look, we got more skill points to spread around here. We're level 13 and I'm going to just say 2.5 hours. I'll time check from here 2.5 hours and we'll see how quickly we can develop a fleet. My goal was to make a pirate fleet in 3 hours. I think we're going to make our goal, right? Because this siege, I'm 95% sure Annika Castle is, well, you fellas on the channel know, Varon Castle, right? This is Varon Castle layout. We've got a fire catapult. Good night. Right, this is going to be a blowout without you noticing. We will adjust the music slightly. Oh shit, they're dumping us right in. While I was changing the music, they dump us in. Let's get the troops off the walls here. It's critical that we set up first, get our troops off the walls. But this is it, right? This is Varon Castle. This is top 3 castle in all of Calradia to defend. And it's level 1 walls. A lot of guys are alarmed. Hold on a second. First, let's get 4 divisions. We'll have a shield. Let's just have lines. There's enough troops there at the gate. We'll have these guys basically skirmish to start. And then 1, 2, 3 archer divisions. 3 is fine. We can put some up the stairs here. That's more than enough, right? The fact that we have militia makes this even easier, but we would be able to hold it. I think even without militia, outnumbered 7-1. If we had 90 troops here against 700, I think we still win. And it's not like the Allies doing any good there, other than just laying down. Might as well kill them ourselves if they're just going to lay on the ground. They're standing with recruits where there's no protection at all. And I'll take this. Thanks. Get the hell out of here. We have plenty of towels. Thanks. Condescending moment from Dumb and Dumber, where Jim Carrey answers the door and just assumes that it's a servant there to bring him warm towels. Nobody delivers it like Jim Carrey. All right, I see archers. I don't see a siege tower, so they must just have 2 siege ladders here. We're just going to flame the shit out of these archers because we're leveling our siege, right? This castle is... Look at these dipshits. Go ahead and lay on the ground, fellas. Some more. Bring some more up here to lay on the ground. Just make a big purple... You know, I laugh, but it is pretty sad that, like, one archer is going to get a shot off. That other archer gets shot 12 times in the gut. Wah! You just hear him getting smoked over there. And we got some troops here we could shoot too. Shit. Okay, we can't quite hit these guys. Oh, shit. I just heard a siege tower blow up. I didn't see it. I couldn't quite see around the corner there. There is a siege tower. There was a siege tower. That makes it worse for the enemy, right? Because now they only have these 2 accesses. In fact, the access is right here in front of me, which is a smorgasbord, right? We're going to kill hordes of troops. Now, I'm in no hurry to fire these, and if you want to maximize your throwing skill, just have this guy load this fire catapult and just sit here, or go take a piss or something like that, because you can start a timer here. Let's do 40 seconds until the Western Empire brings, you know, 100,000 troops to the ladders right in front of us in clear sight of this fire catapult. We're just going to be able to rain down hell. I would say there's 8 or 9 balls left. And the only reason I'm firing here is because we want to level our siege skill too, right? I want to fire ballistas from the front of ships, right? And you set shit on fire. We're definitely going to be a terrorizing pirate overlord once the fleet is ready. And I'm not sure what to do, right? Should we have 3 boats, 5 boats, 1 big boat? I don't know, right? I think I'm leaning towards 2. It kind of depends on what the fleet has, or what the port has. If you don't know, and a lot of you, of course, you don't. You probably haven't seen episodes, and you're probably not playing. Every port is a little different, or at least there's high variability to it. Some ports have a lot of ships, and some have, 3, 4, 5. And it's a little bit like a used car lot, as we just, I'm gaining a level every other throw. These fire catapults. I had someone say, they don't need a nerf. Okay, sure. It seems balanced to me. But we could throw more of those. You know what? We've got rocks in here too. This whole battle, we're just going to throw rocks, and I'm just going to keep on talking about ships, because for most players, where's this guy? Man, this character's weak. I drilled that guy in the head. It did 4, 22, 1. I think we're better off just picking up rocks and throwing at this guy. Give me a rock. It's hard to pick these up for some reason. There we go. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Sorry, dude. Once you start throwing, you can't stop, right? It's like, it's a motion that continues. And, well, militia are there to get killed. So the ship's a real question, right? There's going to be weeks before, more than that maybe, before we really truly flesh out what ships are good at this. There's different stats and metrics that kind of tell you what they do. They have speeds, but what speed are they referring to? Is the speed on the campaign map the same on the battle map? Are there some ships that are really fast on the campaign map but slower on the battle map? Right? I don't think that would be a thing, but maybe there are. And then what about things like the shallow draft and deep hull? Some ships are deep hulled, whatever that means, right? They're heavier, and so they ride lower in the water. You would have a shallow boat for rivers. You would have a shallow boat for coastal warfare, where you would likely hit rocks if it was a deep hulled boat. I think your deep hulled boats are much better for the open ocean, right? It's I won't pretend like I'm an expert at that. I have been doing a lot of studying for content on YouTube. I don't want to just be a mumbling idiot. I have been researching kind of the history of ships, everything from like rams. I'll just give you an example. Rams, I read, were no longer in use by the 7th or 8th century. They were just deemed useless because ships started to be built in a manner where the rams couldn't hurt them. By the 7th century, right? And theoretically, Bannerlord is set in what, 1085. Yeah, it's sort of a mythical game too, right? Bannerlord, and obviously it's fantasy. There's no map that looks like Calradia. Is that it already? And that might be it. They didn't even put up a fight. We can hit a few of them in the back here. Smoked a guy in the garrison. Well, we got a pirate overlord here, right? We got to get into character a little bit. This guy's bloodthirsty, and he's money thirsty, right? This guy wants money, and he's not averse to committing some war crimes, beheading some captives in order for them to tell him where all the loot is, and then making off with all the spoils before he pays half of his crews. This guy, we're going to play this campaign not just fast and loose, but we're going to play it fast and loco, right? We're going to execute people if we want to. We're going to sack caravans anytime we see one. We're going to raid villages all we want. And we're probably going to have an issue with companions, because some companions don't like that shit. They don't put up with it. It's one of the few times where there's consequences to your actions that are direct, right? A lot of times you can just, all the generous and closed-fisted shit doesn't really seem to affect the game very much, but it sure as hell does when you start sacking cities and you have people in your companions in your party that are, that have virtuous traits, right? They have these sort of simulated personalities. And this is what I mean. Our army never even gets below 104. We just, every army seems to have prisoners, and we're suffering so few losses. I didn't even look at the stats there, but I presume we had, a 30-to-1 kill ratio, 50-to-1 kill ratio. The loot has been awesome. In fact, it doesn't, have the charisma as that big, gnarly, stinky bear hole, but we're going to be on the open ocean soon. I mean, look at how much money this is, right? That's 100,000 in loot, no problem. We're just drowning in loot now. We got to go sell a bunch. And this is why siege defense, but also tactics, remain, in my opinion, far and away the most pleasurable and profitable power leveling way to play Bannerlord. I see guys muddling through campaigns, and they're doing all this extenuating activities to try to make things work, and they're smithing and they're selling horses over here and shit like that. Well, you come to our channel, you learn tactics where you can defeat enemies twice your size in the open field and 10 times your size in siege. Well, this guy's suiciding. He wants to go to prison, I guess. The man wants to die. 50 cents, if you know what that quote is from. I will Venmo you 50 cents. So, I just think more players get the joy of tactics, and you will get all the experience of it too, right? So we got peace here, but we don't really care, right? The Western Empire and Southern Empire peace. The only bummer is we can't sell nobles, right? They kind of stole some money from us. It's tempting to go to another kingdom because we want war, but I don't actually think it matters. Maybe we'll go up there later. My intent was to be kind of a corsair, right? We're going to be down in this lower area. We've already done plentiful gameplay in the North Sea with the Nords, and we had ships up there. So I think it makes a lot more sense if we'll just stay south. And it doesn't really matter at this stage who we're merked up with, because we're going to start sacking and raiding, right? We're going to pay ourselves. We don't need some punk ass empress. I guess we'll keep it for now, right? We'll at least make sure that she pays us what she owes us, right? She owes us a bunch of money from influence. We'll just let her keep on sending those checks to us. Money is kind of a funny thing in Bannerlord, and there's a historical side to money that a lot of people don't know about. I'll ramble a little bit here while we dump some loot and look for legendary equipment. This is something I'm doing in every city now. It's either a bug or it's intentional. It's just a loot free-for-all. Go to every city and look alphabetically for legendary, because there's all kinds of incredible loot that is legendary, and for some reason the costs are also legendary, as in legendary cheap, right? You can get incredibly nice equipment for like 500, 1200. To me, it's a bug, right? Or it's, at least it's an balance issue, because I'm just going to stack my characters with legendary shit even if it's not tier 6, it's still better than tier 4 and 5 in a lot of cases. But money is interesting, right? Actually, you know what? Let's hold that. Maybe we do that on the open sea. Although we got to sell some shit too. See if there's any shit here. I'm just starting to buy anything that's sort of legendary. Well, maybe we could use it for 500 or something like that. We're going to have just heaps of money in this campaign. But we got to go to the shipyard here, right? We got to get some ships. Let's sell a bunch of shit, and I'll talk briefly about money. Money actually started to be transferable more readily in the age of the Crusades, right? The First Crusade, Second Crusade, Third Crusade, especially the major movements of people, tens of thousands of Crusader knights heading to take back the Holy Land, heading to Jerusalem. Well, they didn't want to travel with giant piles of gold. It'd be heavy. It'd be dangerous, right? You get fucking robbed. And so what they did in many cases is they essentially worked out long-term, sort of efficiently banking, right? You have a relationship with a series of different people, and you would take, sort of the equivalent of a promissory note and go there. And so they were able to transfer wealth into the Middle East anyways, for the Crusades. I'm captivated by the ships. This is a Drummond, right? This is one of the big boys. This is basically the biggest, baddest ship in the game. There are other that are kind of in the vicinity, and it looks like a behemoth, but we can't have that as a pirate ship, right? Not yet. Maybe when we have a kingdom, a pirate kingdom, if it gets that far. What I want a boat like this. I want a boat that can ram. I want a boat that's fast. So you see the shit on the right there. Travel speed 3.02. Draft deep. Right? Like this has a ram. This looks great. This looks fast. It has a crew of 4860. From what I understand, the 24, 48, 60, that's the minimum, maximum, and then reserve, right? You can have like troops that come out from underneath your ship, right? That's why like some of the ships have 100, right? They have like troops that are basically waiting below decks to pour out. That's the only way you get reinforcements in WARSAILS. You cannot have more ships enter the battlefield, at least until the modders get a hold of it. I imagine we're definitely going to have reinforcements with the modders. At least I hope so. And I think let's just get a couple of big, long ramming ships. Right, we've got one ship for 50,000. There's another one that looks almost identical to it, so we could have these twin. They're mid-sized ships, which I think is good because they're going to be a nice middle ground, no pun intended, between speed like a small boat, maneuverability, but also can ram and lots of troops. Right, I think that's going to be. A lot of guys are saying, the big ships are just going to rule. Not necessarily. If you've got dexterity out at sea, being fast and agile at the same time as being able to ram, right? These things, it looks like they have a ram, and we've got 2 of them now. Let's rename one here, right? Let's go ballistic in this campaign. And I think the ram is going to be moderately effective, right? It's not a Drummond, right? You don't have the weight. The Drummond with the big giant. We did an episode where it has the huge dildo looking ram. It's like fucking 12 feet long with a giant ram head on it. That thing is going to do huge damage. Now here we go. So this is the first port I have seen where you can change the rams, right? It's reinforced wave breaker ram. This looks better. Let's see, weight, ship hit points. It adds to ship hit points, travel speed. It makes us faster. Yeah, yes, please. I'll take this one. Top speed. Top speed is good, right? Demoralize their crew while improving speed. So it's a little heavier, which is good for inertia, right? That means, it's not available. So we're still learning these menus here, right? You have the menus on the left. That's basically the categories, right? We're in the hull area, right? We can make our hull stronger, right? So the stronger hull obviously allows you to travel in harder seas. You take less damage. And then this is the side of the ship. So I think we have braziers right now, or maybe I just selected it. It's a little bit difficult right now to discern. When you click it, and you only get one for each of these side things, right? You can't have like arrow braziers, shields, and 4 other things. It's an either or kind of thing, right? You cannot have both. I like the arrow braziers, right? I want to set some shit on fire. I'm a firefighter. Almost every firefighter you meet is at least slightly a pyromaniac, so I like that option. We could light some shit on fire. I don't know how to get ballistas yet. That's probably something you get with siege skills, right? There's a lot of stuff it's basically grayed out because we don't have... Yeah, sure. Faster oars is good. Look, we can upgrade the sails. Faster travel speed. So this is the first time I've felt like we have a lot of the options activated for speed, right? And these... Yeah, so these are not unlocked. And what I've heard talking to some fellow content creators is that these can only be unlocked. The sort of the equivalent of the banners at sea. That's your masthead at the front, right? Where it's like some naked lady or whatever, or a serpent. Those get unlocked with victory, with achievements out in the ocean, right? You don't get those at the beginning. Someone said he won a big battle, a big naval battle, and he had some of those unlocked. And I'm digging it, right? We got our ship here. We've got 2 fast ships. We'll do a little save and out we go. And what to do, right? Well, let's start killing some stuff, right? Let's to quote the scene in Waterworld, don't just stand there, kill something, right? We're gonna look to ram shit and kill. The Corsairs are out here, right? We've definitely seen the Corsairs along the shore. We're not at war with anybody right now, I think. Or maybe the Asarai. There's a patrol boat out here. Part of it's just fun to explore, right? Obviously, some guys don't want to watch this because they want to do the exploration on their own. Are there sea serpents? Probably not. You know, are there big pirate islands and shit out here? There's a lot of unknowns. I hope Tale Worlds got creative, right? And made like a pirate island where there's tons of Corsairs and you get swarmed and have to fight your way through pirates. And if not, I'll take a free copy of Bannerlord 3 for that brilliant suggestion. Now we've got a Corsair here that we can get a little trial boat action. Actually, there's a bigger fish. That looked like 60 something. And our boat is humming. It's 2 boats, but look at our speed, 4.6. In the Nord campaign, we never exceeded like 2.8. Part of the reason, we have mariner skills, right? We have focused on it. I also streamlined our equipment. We dumped all our horses and equipment, and this Corsair is futilely running, right? We're going to catch him at sunset here. It might be in a storm.
What do you want with us?
Yeah, come with us, you criminal of the fucking sea. We plan on replacing you. This is going to be our neighborhood to be a gangster thug. Now, I wish the other Corsair ship would have tried to help, right? So they at least had a chance. We're going to just blast these Corsairs off the map. And that is a curiosity, a question I have as we upgrade some of the... These are all the perks we got from that one siege. Look, we got 4 levels, it looks like. And we almost hit level 18. That's from 1 siege defense. So, yeah, it's not overpowered. It seems balanced. What do we do here? What do we do? We got Mariner. So we're going to talk about these over the course of this campaign. This campaign literally might be 3 or 4 episodes. And I'm probably going to start heavily editing. Initially here, I don't want to edit because I want you guys to see how you can get to this stage of a campaign. And I guess we succeeded. I'm looking down. It says 248. So under 3 hours, we have a pirate fleet and we're out in the Mediterranean, the equivalent of the Mediterranean, looking to cause havoc. This is the starting screen. Of course, there's not a lot of dynamism to it. You can move your boats around, but you can't put one like on the other side of the map and shit like that. We've got just a beautiful setting, and there's no denying that the immersion of this is just breathtaking. My wife and I kayak in the ocean, right? We kayak in bays in the ocean and lakes and stuff like that. So we've been in some pretty gnarly seas in canoes and kayaks, and I can tell you, that wasn't like bragging. That was more of, I've been in this kind of effect in the United States Coast Guard. I was in this kind of effect as well on a ship. Of course, anybody who's been on a ferry in rough weather will tell you that the ocean effects are like a 12. They have done a magnificent job. The boat is going up and down and kind of has a violent rock if you break over the wave. These ships were designed to go forward pretty well into waves, but not sideways, right? You did not want to get caught in the trough. Now, if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, like any porn star here, we're going to try to get at least one big ram in on this battle here, even though we don't need to. We could definitely just charge and then just go take a leak or whatever. But I want to get familiar with the boat, like I said. At least initially here, we're going to get sort of cozy and comfy. To turn quickly, you want to turn on the opposite side of the direction you want to go and then back up. I know that's strange, but think of your character walking backwards and the other side turning. So if you want to turn to the right, you paddle on the left and back up, and you will turn very rapidly. And I've had other people who have, you know, ship experience or just intuition about it say it's way too fast for these big boats. And I don't know if we're going to be able to broadside these ships here. The wind is not perfect. We had to row against the wind. We're at least going to go over the top of this guy here, and we fucking drilled it. I don't know, ineffective ram. That boat's trucked in the water. They said we killed a couple guys. Our ram is driving over their ship. Speak for yourself, ineffective ram. We fucked them up here, right? And now we've got these little Corsairs ragdolled. They're like trying to backpedal onto their ship. These guys are wearing light clothing. Now these guys could swim, and holy shit, that's surging swell, right? That's what we're talking about. The effects are amazing, right? And I don't think these are heavy seas. We're in the South Seas here, right? We're not in the North Sea. According to the digital event that Tail Worlds had for some of the content producers, they did say that weather is variable dependent on where you are, right? So presumably the North Sea. Now I'm just doing this because I can. Feel a little bit like Kevin Costner in Waterworld, right? We're swimming 40 miles an hour with armor on. Not super realistic, but I've mentioned it before. Sometimes we'd rather have fun than just realism. We'd all have, you know, like horrific diseases and shit like that in the year of 1076. Your lifespan was like 35, right? And we could ramble on some more on some other history maybe. These are new troops, right? These are basically water bandits. Corsair Chief, Corsair Warrior. And they're pretty stout, right? They're not beastly. They're tier 4. It looks like he has some javelins. It looks like he's got some raggedy armor. These guys don't even have helmets. But it's still, you know, it's immersion. It's great, right? That's probably similar clothes to what pirates would wear, right? You would not bother with shoes, I think, a lot of the time, or at least I presume, because your shit would get wet if you're on a boat and shit's getting splashed. I can tell you when my wife and I, what is this? Oh, these are loot. Okay, before you get too excited, all 3 of these ships we get, and it looks like they're damaged. You see how it's green, and then there's a lot of red. It looks like a lot of actually all of their ships were damaged. And of course, I damaged our own ship. Before you get too excited, I can tell you that the DLC is not going to have as much loot. What I've heard is that there was a significant loot to the amount of ships you take. Basically, it presumes they're either sunk or scuttled, which means basically intentionally sunk because the ships were routinely cumbersome, right? You're not going to just drag 3 ships in the ocean with the wind battering you. A lot of times the ships were worthless or they were piles of shit. And so I can tell you it's probably going to be significantly different. We're probably going to see a huge amount of loot for this campaign, and that won't be the case for the DLC. Right now, this guy here, die. We're just going to go ballistic in this campaign. He's all smiling and shit. Die. We're not even going to tell him, hand over your goods. You just, you're a dead man. I'm such a nice guy, law-abider. Like, I've never even been arrested in real life, and so I absolutely thrill to just being an outrageous, over-the-top, murdering gangster thug in video games. I just think it's a great way to roleplay, and that keeps me being sort of an angel in my private life, right? I fucking volunteer at a humane society, taking dogs for walks and shit like that. I gave interest-free loans recently at work when there was a financial hardship period. I try to be a good person in real life and an absolute murdering thug in Bannerlord, right? Especially when you're playing as a pirate. Now this is what I mean. That looks real. Like, I've been on ferries and sea, and the ocean effects are great. If I just had like a little device blowing some salty water on my face, I'd be having like, an otherworld experience or something like that. It's amazing. Now we'll talk about some of the bad with the good, right? We're going to talk about some of the things I'm concerned about. As again, we try to get our ram on here. Try to turn it hard here at the end. Unfortunately, now we're going into the wind, so we'll have to raise the sails. We'll talk a little bit during this series about shipboard stuff. I guess that's sort of required of me, right? Since, well, let's just board this fucker. We're right next to it. or at least thrack them with some throwing weapons here. These guys are fish in a barrel. Just got a weird graphical effect. Hopefully you didn't get a bunch of weird graphical effects there. Half of my javelins went flying over their head. Not quite sure what happened there. Maybe we'll do a little bit of editing there. I think that was on my end, a little computer graphical error. And for some reason, our guys started paddling backwards. So we had multiple snafus there. But I guess it's sort of incumbent on me to talk about how to control ships at least a little bit here. Another ineffective ram, but we killed guys, so I don't know what's ineffective. I see the corpses, right? That's not it's not ineffective if you kill guys. What they're referring to is it didn't sink the boat, right? There are different levels, basically, of ramming. Look at these poor Western Empire forces. We're drilling our own guys here. And we just bored this punk-ass Western Empire cargo. These guys are trying to protect their cargo. And they're tough little units. This guy blocked a lot. These guys are trying to row away. You guys aren't getting away. And look at the ocean effect, right? They're bobbing up and down and shit. There's going to be some jankiness to it, right? Guys keep paddling while they're being smoked. You know, there's obviously, it's not perfect real life, but look at the carcasses. Those are probably the people we killed with our ram, right? They're floating in the ocean. There's sea foam. There's just so many nice touches, right? You can swim over and actually board the ship here. I'm gonna go take control of their ship. I think you can do that. You just swim over, climb this little net here, and once you're close, the little thing that says F. There we go. Use the net, right? You come up quickly, right? We do our workouts here, and well, our troops are too efficient here. We've got this murdering crew, and they are just massacring everything. We're going to have to seek bigger targets here because we're just making the ocean a graveyard at this stage. Of course, now the Western Empire is furious with us. We've got some unprovoked massacres and attacks on Western Empire forces. Good, right? I don't give a fuck. So these are more unique units or new units, right? These are shipboard, basically the equivalent of your land caravan guards at sea, right? And I think it's great, even though it's you know, it's not super dynamic. It's still good, right? They didn't just put like a legionary or something there. It's a totally new unit. We get more loot. So what are we towing here? 7. We have 7 ships or 8 ships. And let's talk about that, right? On the way to port, let's go sell these ships. We can go here to this Asteroid port and probably make 50,000 or something like that, right? We'll probably get a decent amount of money for these ships. There's an Asteroid force just sitting out here in the harbor. He says he's guarding the coastal water. That's great, right? There's all these little effects. Maybe they're getting raided by Corsairs, right? And so they have one of their lords out in the ocean playing guard dog, right? He's snarling at all the all the Corsairs. Now, back in the day, right, in the medieval era, a lot of times these ships were not rammed, right? And part of the reason they weren't rammed is that a lot of the people that were out there, the main source of income for them was salvaged and or captured ships, right? So they were not about to destroy their paychecks, right? These guys were out there trying to collect ships, right? They were trying to, very much so by the 16th, 17th, 18th century especially, they were capturing ships left and right? Especially man-of-wars and stuff like that, or a lot of the privateers in the Caribbean and stuff like that. They were, left and right capturing ships and making tons of money off it too, right? It became kind of a free-for-all. So we'll try to mix in tidbits of history in between. I'm trying to make sure we don't sell our boats, right? I don't want to make a snafu here because I haven't had a save game in a while. And I thought we had... Yeah, okay, so we have 3 boats. We still got our 3 boats. Make sure things look good here. And we didn't get a huge amount of money for the ships, which is actually good, right? We're kind of selling piece of shit pirate ships. That's good, right? And we still can't get a figurehead. I'm just seeing if there's any upgrades here at this Asteroid port. Depending on where you go and depending on what shipyard, different kingdoms have different upgrades and different kind of sails and stuff like that, which is another good aspect. And you know what? thank you for being very hospitable. Damn, he left. I was gonna say, oh, he came back. Thank you for being very hospitable with the port there. We're gonna wait until nighttime like a true pirate. We're just gonna come alongside and be like, hey mate, can you give us directions to Poros? Give us all your money, you son of a bitch. And he's like, you can't do that. And we're like, we're doing it. You son of come get some, right? And in case you haven't seen our kingdom name, Inglorious Bastards, we wages war on the Aserai. It's one of my favorite things in Bannerlord is just to do shit that in real life would be complete outrage, and in Bannerlord you can just do that shit and not give a fuck, right? You just declare war. We just visited their port. Super nice, right? They served us Arabian coffee, right? If you guys have never had like Arabian coffee, that was a very big thing. And so the origin of coffee is the Middle East. I even served my wife. What did I serve her? It was cardamom coffee, right? It was one of the spices. It's still used today. Cardamom comes from a nut, and it makes sort of a sweet, really unique flavored little powder usually. Anyways, that was one of the ways that they would do business, is they would serve you coffee beforehand, and then that was sort of like they're breaking the bread instead of today a lot of times before business you might have a meal or something like that. Back then it was coffee, right? They would serve you coffee Arabic style. I'm probably butchering the origin or nationality or something like that, but that was one of the main origins of coffee. Well, we're trying to get a ram here, and I would love to ram Addis and just sink his ship, but we've got kind of chaos here. The winds are favorable, but none of their ships are turned sideways to us. So ships are different, right? Battlefield tactics are going to be much more receptive to last-minute changes than ships, and Tail Worlds acknowledge this. Like, your tactical side, let's talk about it briefly. First of all, you have zero ability to tell a ship to go to an exact point. Zero. You cannot tell a ship, besides manually steering it there, to make them go anywhere, right? The best you can do with control of ships, besides telling them to charge or skirmish, it's actually skirmish or engage. F1, F3 is skirmish, which I think is charge, right? That's the charge command on the battlefield. And engage is the skirmish command on the battlefield. I think they will try to keep away and just shoot, right? We're trying to circle around, but I got a long way before we have the wind in our favor here. What I am doing, though, and this is one of the ways you can control your ships, is tell them to follow you, right? You can go to where you want them to go and say, follow me. Now, it does look like they're getting grappling hooked. And what it seems like with the grappling hook mechanic is if you're moving quickly, you can't be grappled, which makes sense, right? There's like guys holding onto it. It would just rip it right through their hands. It's not like they had winches and shit like that. I think they're being boarded, or at least there's a skirmish there. We're going to try to ram the shit out of them here. We should be able to do it. It's taken a long time to set up here, but look at the wind direction. We're going to drop our sail. So you hit X to lower the sail. We only have one sail. It takes a second or two, and watch the wind hit it. Whoosh! It goes the other way. The physics that they've set up for this is fucking amazing. I'm sure there's some physics professors that would say it's like a B+, right? They might have missed a little bit, but it's fucking great. And we're going to be able to ram something here. I don't give a shit what it is. We're ramming somebody. We're going to use this damn thing like a horny college student. In we go. And that's the best ram we've gotten so far. And we decked some guys and killed, I think we killed one or two, but we're not sinking shit, right? And I think that is obviously a function of weight. Now, was that our troops falling off? Somebody fell off. And they might be drowning. So you can see everything. The controls are pretty well visible, in fact. And here we're doing that backwards and paddle on one side, right? You can turn really quickly that way. It works in a kayak magnificently, too. But all your controls are over there on the lower right. Sorry, I'm trying to focus here. 13. Okay, so the enemy's basically dead here. I can finish my point. X is the sail. Sometimes you have multiple control over the sails because there's more than one sail. So you can lower them both at the same time. And dudes are drowning for sure. That's the enemy drowning, I think. I can't tell. Maybe it's our troops. It seemed like a guy fell off our boat. And I'm just ramming shit for fun. And then, of course, you have... Oh, shit, dude. Well, you should have ducked. The boat... You know, the boats move a lot, so it's going to be hard to get precise shots. But the... Holy shit, we're going fast. We must have the sail still active. Oh, shit. Yeah, the sail... So the sail is just, you know... It'll take you and pull you away off to sea, right? It's just... Or away we go here, away from the battlefield. There's Latin sails, Lateen, Latin sails, and square sails, right? Your square sails will just auto-resolve this last guy. The square sails go really fast, but they have to have the wind perfect. In other words, it has to be, yeah, come with us, you Aserai dog. If the wind is right at your sails, with the square sails, you go very fast. It's a powerful burst of speed. The Latin sails are more versatile. They have... consider it this way. On your little wind dial there's a larger area where the Latin sail will help your boat move, but they're not nearly as powerful a thrust as a square sail. So some ships have two sails. These both look like Latin sails, but the best ships, I think, are the ones that, you know, from a versatility point, of course, have both sails. That way you can use the square sail to go really fast, and the Latin sail, in case the wind is just against you, right? You can use more of the margins. This guy's having a seizure here. Either that or that's one very happy, very drunk Corsair crew. You have a lot more control with the Latin square of your boat, right? The square sail, if the wind's not right with you and you have like 120, 140 degree window, you're kind of fucked. Look at this, is great. This patrol rushes out at us like, who are you? I'm tempted to attack them and be like, surrender or die, right? You just go ballistic. You've got to have a few friends. We're going to stay neutral here with the Southern Empire. And you know what, friends? I think I just saw something. I think we're going to repair, sell some ships right here. But I think this is a good spot to wrap up episode 2. We've got a nice taste of the ocean here. We've made a bunch of money, although now I look down at our money, we're not making that much money. I mean, we're selling piles of shit, except this thing. When did we take this? Was this in one of the Aserai controls? There's like a giant ship that we just towed to shore. 38 grand, that's nice. But then a bunch of other low-cost stuff. I'm going to keep playing, but we're going to roll this episode up here. Right? I don't know, it's probably 45 minutes to an hour, but here we go, right? Our pirate campaign is ongoing, and we're just going to smash everything in our path, right? Until we get captured and executed, or however that works. We're going to have some fun. So you want to see more, of course, now's your opportunity to subscribe. Maybe we'll hit some of these rivers and raid some villages at some point or other. Maybe we'll go up north, right? That's the freedom of Bannerlord, is you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's great stuff. So if you want to see more, please subscribe. Hit that like button on the way out. And I will see you, friends, next time. Don't lack for action. There are ships everywhere.